This time on Hazelnuts.
We are doing suspension and drive shafts. So that's cutting, welding, doing some drive shafts so we can send them off. But the most important thing is our suspension on this van. Now we have some shiny new suspension from Transport HQ, which is a coilovers to the front, and we have some gas suspension for the rear and a really shiny nice cantilever suspension. So if you ever wondered how cantilever suspension works, myself and Carl are going to explain it and hopefully get it right on the back of this van. So let's go.
Now that ride height looks about right moving forward, and you can see the lower arms are about level. The reason we're doing this is we're going to do the drive shafts first. Now we had to swap the drive unit over to the one that we built up on the last episode, as the one we had fitted was missing its diff, so it wouldn't have held the drive shafts in it very well at all. Now we cut up a set of the original Transporter outers because we wanted to keep them with a little bit of shaft on them to put back into place, and we cut up an old set of Tesla inner joints so we could put them back into place with a bit of length left. Now the key thing here is because we wanted to measure up the drive shaft lengths. So what I did is I basically pulled the drive shaft all the way out on the inner joint and marked it, and I pushed it all the way into the extreme and marked it again, and that gave us an extreme either way, with the lower arms being at the correct height for ride height being key here. Everything was based around the ride height the van will be once it's set up on its suspension in the future. Now once we'd done this, we realised that the drive shafts were about 1 millimetre within each other, so I decided to go the same. Marked in the middle, because I figured that's probably the optimum place where I want the drive shafts to be running most of the time. And then we have the two extremes, obviously either way, for say if the suspension was all the way up or all the way down, depending on driving. We then basically cut the Tesla ones down so I could weld them onto the VW shafts. The reason I'm welding these on is not because we're going to run them like this. I'm welding them on so we could test fit them in and then send them off to have a custom set of drive shafts produced for the van. No dodgy welded joints here, because the amount of power we're going to be pushing, we definitely shield them off. Now they're welded up, we've basically fitted them back into the motor in the outer, made sure we're at rough ride height, and then we've gone full lock one way and spun it. And we go full lock the other way and spin it, just to make sure nothing binds up, because that's the biggest concern here when doing drive shafts. Overall, came out great.
Now obviously we cut everything out of the back of the van because we were going to sit it over the Tesla, which was obviously a massive fail. So we decided to do this very custom rear subframe, and then realised obviously we had no strut tops. So cantilever suspension was a solution, and to be honest, it looks bloody cool. So we've had these machined, which Carl's designed, and the plan is that these are going to sit roughly along this row here with some brackets. They're going to sit around here. We're going to have a push rod coming up here onto here. Maybe it's that way around, I can't remember. And then we're going to have a gas suspension in here. So the key thing is now we need to mark the middle. We need to work out where these are going to go. Hopefully not mess it up. Isn't that right, Carl?
That's hopefully the plan.
We will see.
Yeah. So these ones offset from the middle. They're about 130 mil off from the middle. This one comes in, it sits pretty much at the end. This side has the strut coming to it, back down to here. This one's pretty much horizontal and goes straight down to the push rod position.
And we're actually going to measure this, Carl, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No by eye, because Nick's not here.
Nick's not here, so we can do it properly.
Nailed it that time.
Easy, isn't it?
The next step is taking the welder, and we're going to weld on these brackets based on the middle. And how far out are we going, Carl?
133 millimeters. So very precise.
Oh, God. And then that's going to hold this end of the shock. And then we're going to put another piece to hold this bit just here. It's going to go onto there, and it's going to do a Jimmy Wobbler thingy and look really cool.
That's the plan.
Yes, you are seeing that correctly. We are actually using a tape measure and a scribe to mark where we're putting the suspension points. It's amazing what we can do when Nick isn't around.
So they go that way around.
Yeah.
so the loading is spread across this.
That's the idea, yeah.
Face
so it
instead
should
of-
be pushing it
Yeah,
basically in that
because
direction.
if we did it that way, we're then going to be putting all of our load onto this point.
Yeah.
Carl's engineering and stuff. Carl, you're measuring an exact distance there.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
Just you've got to make sure that the length of this doesn't get too much lent over this way or this way, because then it can affect the geometry of the suspension. So basically, if you go too far, the spring will kind of fold in on itself a little bit, and if you go too much the other way,
like
stuck with the suspension upside down, if you like. So it's kind of trying to lift the wheel up instead of trying to push it down. I don't think a few mil probably won't make all that much difference, but trying to be as accurate as we can.
So that's the when you're fully compressed basically on the suspension, that it doesn't compress too far that it can kick down and get stuck there basically.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So everything's now roughly in place and tacked, as you've seen. We've got the push rod here, which goes onto the original point where the Tesla suspension was and comes up. And the key thing here was for us to set our shock position, because we basically want to make sure our bump stop is when we're fully in the arch. We don't want to go any lower. We want to make sure our ride height is about halfway through our shock range, because this is a one-to-one. And our pivot point on our suspension. I did ring a specialist because me and Carl were definitely guessing, weren't we, a bit, Carl?
A little bit.
So luckily, my friend Tony has helped. So basically, we're basically sat roughly halfway through the shock movement when we're at ride height. But the key thing is when we're at full droop like this, is that we don't lock up the CV joints that are on the Tesla motor and the drive shafts. So we've made sure, checking on the Model S, that we're not going to lock that up based on that angle, which means if we do ever take anything extreme on track, or we lift the wheel or anything, we're not going to lock up the joints and then damage the CV joints on the drive shafts. Now it's time to strip this down and get this all welded up.
Now we've done a quick test just to make sure it was right. Spent the time getting everything welded together. Now obviously, as you can see, I'm actually welding it myself this time because Nick's not about. Hopefully he's not going to complain about the quality of the welds, because these ones are probably pretty important. But turn the temperature up, got really good penetration on the welds, pretty happy with them. I don't think they're going anywhere, to be perfectly honest. And once they'd cooled down, we bolted the suspension together without the springs on and put them into place just to make sure everything moved correctly and freely with no binding, which it worked absolutely perfectly. And look how cool that looks. So we then got the springs on from Gaz and mounted into place and put a small amount of tension on the springs. Obviously all the weight's not in the vehicle yet, so we just wanted to get a little bit of tension on so the springs didn't go loose, and then we could basically do a bit more testing with basically my body weight jumping up and down, as you're about to see.
So the springs are now in place on the rear suspension, and let's just check if it works. We've now dropped it off of the ramp. I'm a bit worried about jumping too much, but it works really, really well. Now we're going to move on to the front suspension, which has been supplied to us by Transport HQ. We start by undoing the two bolts. Oh, look, shiny. This is a pretty new Bilstein shock, if I pronounce that correctly. We basically opened it up with a screwdriver and knocked the old one out, wire brushed it up, put some copper grease on it to help it go in and stop it going rusty long term, and then tapped it down into place. It was not as easy as it looked. It took us at least half an hour to get it to go in, and I'll explain why further on in this episode. So this basically uses the original strut tops. So you basically get shock, spring, and then you use your original strut top towers. If your bearings have failed in there, put new bearings in now, because you don't want to be doing it later. Found the nut. Hey. Bit of copper grease, stop it going rusty in the future then. because these are definitely coming out again. I hope not.
On the second one, we round the bolt in the opposite way around against the chisel to spread it out more.
And Bilstein, in all their wisdom, basically decided to make the bottoms of their suspension straight, whereas the old ones just here have a taper. So it makes it really difficult to get in. Fairly successful episode. So the front suspension is in, and basically I'm being too lazy to put it back in the van to show you because all of this is coming apart. So the lower arms having all new Powerflex bushes and stuff fitted. So not going to do that right now. Drive shaft's done, front suspension in. The rear of the van has come out very, very well. Obviously with our inboard suspension, which is not something you always see. Clearly we've modified the back of this van so it doesn't meet UK road regulations, but it is pretty cool to see this moving when you jump up and down on it. I mean, look how cool that is. Carl's done a really good job at CAD, haven't you, Carl? On the next episode, we're going to get this thing 3D scanned with our Peel 3D scanner, and then we're going to start looking at designing that battery pack. We still haven't decided which batteries we're going to use, but there's now a few options on the market. But if you know of any batteries out there that will do 2,400 amps at peak at 400 volts, please leave a comment below. And as always, like, subscribe, and share this with your friends.